The beginning of the story, the room of the main protagonist, Fang Xiu, was depicted, where he slept peacefully. Suddenly, to his surprise, a melodious voice began to fill his ears, causing him to wake up, feeling annoyed by the interruption. When Fang Xiu woke up and opened his eyes, he was shocked to see something that made his eyes widen in fear. There, written on the wall, were hieroglyphs. At that moment, Fang wondered what was happening to him and who had written those hieroglyphs on the wall. Out of nowhere, those words disappeared, leaving Fang even more tense. He began rubbing his eyes, questioning whether he was still asleep, dreaming, or hallucinating what he had just seen. Once again, he wondered that the words he had just seen were clearer and more real than he had initially thought. Quickly glancing around, he placed his foot on the ground and realized that it wasn't his bedroom. Surprisingly, Fang stood up and wondered where he had ended up, noticing the gloomy and dirty appearance of the room. He glanced towards the table, expecting to find the instant noodles cup he had left there last night after eating, along with the 2 tissues he used to clean his hands. To his surprise, both were missing. Then, panic-stricken, Fang placed his hand over his head, trying to make sense of what was happening. Suddenly, out of nowhere, his mind gained some information. He had somehow entered the body of his counterpart in a parallel universe. Both Fangs were orphans, similar in age and appearance, but their life paths were entirely different. The original Fang was nurtured by kind-hearted individuals and was admitted to a great university. However, in this parallel universe, he had dropped out of high school and started working as a salesperson in real estate, leading a more common life. Fang looked at his hand, pondering whether it was possible that he had crossed over into another parallel world, occupying someone else's body. He considered accepting this reality, but still couldn't understand the purpose of the hieroglyphs written on the wall. In the memories of the original body owner, there was no record of such an incident ever happening. While he was pondering and interpreting the situation, suddenly he heard a girl's voice calling him, "Honey." He was stunned, as it was so sudden, and in his real life, he didn't have any girls in his house. The girl then informed him that it was time for breakfast. Fang slowly looked towards her and saw that she was an exceptionally beautiful girl. However, he still wondered about the term honey, questioning whether he had gotten married early in his current life. She repeated that his breakfast was ready, reassuring Fang that he could eat it. In that moment, Fang felt a bit happier, thinking that time travel wasn't so bad after all. This thought was partially influenced by the beauty of the girl before him. Fang even thought that he wouldn't have found such a beautiful and kind companion in his entire previous life. Fang remained silent, lost in his thoughts, so she kept reminding him that breakfast was ready. Fang wasn't replying because he was confused about what to call her. He debated whether to address her as wife, lady, or sweetheart. Blushing at the thought, he considered calling her by a nickname like baby girl, feeling that it suited her perfectly. Lastly, he decided to call her by her name for the first time. He also thought that the memories of the original owner should be accessible in his brain, so he tried to retrieve them. However, after checking and attempting to remember details about his wife, he was shocked by what he found. There were no memories of his wife. No favorite things, choices, colors, or foods. It was a complete blank when it came to the girl. Fang wondered who the girl, supposedly his wife, really was. He stared at her, but she continued to smile. Curious, he asked her about her name and her relation to him. Suddenly, the girl's face transformed into a ghostly visage, and she asked if he could see her. Terrified, Fang responded with a shaky apology, expressing his confusion and promising to reconsider the situation. To his even greater surprise, the girl transformed into a completely monstrous creature, her mouth widening menacingly as she demanded to know if he could see her. Fang, petrified, felt tears welling in his eyes. Suddenly, in an instant, the creature lunged forward, biting off his head, blood spurting from his body. Due to the sudden action, he howled in pain, wondering what was happening. However, he soon realized that he was still alive. Confusion clouded his mind as he questioned whether he was dreaming, but as he picked up his head, he saw hieroglyphs written on the walls once again. Afterward, he concluded that it wasn't a dream and speculated whether the disappearing words were hints, perhaps telling him to play dumb. However, he quickly dismissed that thought. The owner of his new body wasn't blind at all, just an ordinary person who didn't know anything about his supposed wife and had lived alone until now. The owner also hadn't heard or seen any unusual activity, indicating that he had never seen his wife in his memory. Fang grew tense as he realized the implication. He couldn't let the wife know that he could see her, as being a wife was out of the question. Suddenly, the incident began to repeat itself as the girl entered the room and informed him that it was breakfast time and his breakfast was ready. At that moment, Fang believed that his best chance of surviving and living a normal life, like the original body's owner, was to ignore the other person. Therefore, he avoided looking at her and continued to ignore her presence. She sat down on the ground and looked towards him, asking if he was awake because his breakfast was ready. Fang tried his best not to move or look at her, fearing that even the slightest movement would result in her instantly attacking him. To Fang's surprise, she twisted her face back like a ghost, causing him to look at her with wide, expanded eyes. In that moment, Fang realized he had made a mistake, and he wondered if the girl was playing by unconventional rules. The girl then extended her tongue, which seemed to be of immeasurable length. She licked his cheek with her tongue and asked if he could see her. Without wasting a second, she once again lunged forward and bit off his head, causing blood to splatter all over the ground. Once again, to Fang's surprise, when he howled in pain and opened his eyes after the incident, he found himself back in his room, alive. This time, he felt frustrated with the girl and himself. Trembling, he couldn't shake off the confusion of what was happening to him and why. He wondered if it was a death reset or an endless loop, pondering whether he would return to the starting point after each death, similar to a save point in a game. Afterward, Fang began to interpret the situation. He realized that just now, when he lowered his head and didn't look at her, she came over voluntarily. This indicated that she needed to confirm whether he could see her before taking any action. While Fang was engrossed in his phone, the girl once again entered the room and informed him that it was breakfast time and his meal was ready. Despite her efforts, Fang remained fully concentrated on ignoring her. Undeterred, she attempted to capture his attention by calling him honey. Fang thought that she wouldn't like him, but the moment he had that thought, she responded by saying that she liked him and remembered that he was nearsighted. She even asked if she was right about it and questioned why he had his phone so close, also inquiring if he could see her. Fang, at that moment, pondered whether it was impossible to make unusual moves. Trying to calm himself down, he observed that there was no reaction from her, which made him feel relieved and happy. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Fang was stunned because the girl was now inside his phone, asking him if she looked good. This time, he couldn't control himself and jumped back in fear. He noticed that the girl had disappeared from the phone, but soon he heard a voice from behind confirming that she knew he could see her. She transformed back into her monstrous form, preparing to bite off his head once again. This time, he shouted furiously with a yes as he admitted that he could see her. He attempted to punch her back, but the girl dodged his attack and bit off his hand instead. Fang howled in pain as she licked his hand. Despite his shock, Fang felt a mixture of happiness and relief, knowing that this time he wasn't eaten by her. He smiled slightly, but tensely wondered what would happen next. Repeatedly, he found himself being outwitted by her, no matter what he did or said. Fang then revealed that even in the 6th revival, he had still been startled by his wife suddenly getting close to him. He had even succumbed to his own acting skills, resulting in his demise. The next time, she pressed his face between the window grills. In the 8th attempt, he wanted to escape, but he couldn't. Since he couldn't break free, he tried praising her and being nice. Now he chose to enjoy the situation rather than feeling stressed and crying. At one point, he responded with a resigned yes as she could see him, allowing her to wipe him again. After dying for the 13th consecutive time, he desperately sought death. He then remarked that some people were alive but already dead, while others were insane, yet incredibly clear-minded. So his death continued for the 14th time, and gradually, the count kept rising. Fang shared that with each death, he gained memories of the original body and developed a deeper understanding of the world he was in. In this world, there were noticeably an absurdly high number of bizarre and strange stories. Finally, on the 18th time, while sleeping, he pondered why he could keep dying and resetting, and who wrote those bloody lines on the ceiling, and why they disappeared after he saw them. As his phone rang, he wondered about those words and whether all those urban legends were caused by them. Then, he considered that his wife might be one of them, a trickster. Fang then became furious and shouted in his mind, "Die! Die! Die!" As long as he was alive, he vowed to ensure his wife's demise. Suddenly, the girl appeared again and informed him that it was breakfast time, and his breakfast was ready. Fang, now fully aware of the situation, chuckled as he realized that she always wanted to wake him up but never made direct contact. He stood up and approached her, prompting her to ask if he wanted to eat her before breakfast. To her surprise, he ignored her and continued forward. It became evident in the story that Fang passed through her body as if she were a ghost. When he passed out, she didn't do anything, confirming Fang's suspicion that she could only act when she was sure he could see her. With a sad and frustrated expression, she asked Fang if he wasn't going to eat the breakfast she had already prepared for him. Hearing this, Fang smiled and mused that the prettier the woman, the better she could deceive someone. She had called him for breakfast, but in reality, she hadn't even made anything for him. Fang then ate a sandwich, contemplating the need to go outside. He realized that without venturing out, he wouldn't be able to gather information about his wife or investigate the anomalies of the present world. This time the girl's face appeared on the floor, asking Fang why he wasn't eating the breakfast she had made and if he was disgusted with her cooking. Ignoring her, he headed for the door to go outside. But she appeared again, this time inside the handle. questioning why he was going outside instead of staying in the house to accompany her. Fang remained determined this time, knowing he had to venture outside to gather the knowledge necessary to seek revenge against her somehow. Furious at her, Fang was determined that no one could get away after wiping him for the 18th time. No one. He wanted revenge. Slowly, he walked towards the entrance of the house, determined to step outside and explore the world beyond. He contemplated finding a way to eliminate the strangeness before returning to finally wipe her out. However, the moment he opened the door to step outside, he was shocked to see the gloomy world beyond, with a red sky looming overhead. Fang was stunned and wondered if it was hell or something equally dreadful. There were numerous strange creatures milling about, going about their business. Suddenly, Fang began to laugh with an eerie tone, remarking how interesting he found the present world. However, as soon as he said that, he became sick and vomited. While he was vomiting, a little girl approached and asked him what was wrong. Shocked to see her, Fang hesitated for a moment. The girl asked again if he was okay. Fang felt a sense of relief, realizing she was a real person. He started patting her head and told her to call him brother. Fang, at that moment, marveled at how cute the little girl was, thinking it would be nice to have a daughter like her. Suddenly, much to his surprise, the girl's face transformed into a monstrous visage once more, and she asked Fang if he could see her. Seeing this, Fang became tense, and suddenly the surroundings transformed into a more hellish and bloody landscape. As he looked up, the girl child morphed into a larger, more menacing monster wielding a weapon. The monster lunged at Fang, asking him if he could see her. But this time, Fang felt no fear at all. Instead of getting tense, he burst into hearty laughter, finding the situation truly fascinating. Compared to before, he realized he preferred his current self more because he wouldn't have any burden in the future when he finally killed her. He pointed at her, shouting that with so many eerie beings like her around, there was no need to worry about finding a time to kill. They all must die. Fang felt a rush of excitement at the prospect. However, after his proclamation, the girl wiped him again without saying a word. Once again, Fang found himself reset for the 20th time, sleeping soundly in his room. The girl entered without waking him, informing him that it was time for breakfast and he should wake up. Feeling tense, Fang wondered if having breakfast 20 times a day could really fill them up. The scene then shifted to some time later, where the girl child approached him, tears streaming down her face, and asked if he could take her home because she couldn't find her mom. Ignoring her, Fang continued to observe his surroundings, noticing that after observing for half a day, the world seemed filled with all sorts of strangeness. One type of entity had a peculiar appearance lacking rationality, though they possessed aggressiveness. They seemed to be like the air, unable to affect things around them. The other type looked no different from humans, blending in as close friends and family members, engaging in conversation with their targets. Once they received a response, they made their move, just like his dear wife. Even though ordinary people didn't notice their presence at all, they still engaged in role-playing with someone. Fang wondered what it was all for. Suddenly, he realized that perhaps the eerie were attempting to blend into human life. After that, Fang slowly began to explore the world bit by bit, and he even bought things for eating and did all his daily tasks. While he was buying something, he wondered that with his 3-digit family fortune, it seemed he would need to find a way to make some money if he wanted to explore the true nature of the world. Suddenly, Fang received a message from his store manager, Wu Dahai, where the manager was shouting at him that it was already afternoon and he hadn't arrived at the workplace yet, and he mentioned how many times Fang had been late this month. Dahai also inquired about how many clients had been brought in by the company so far that month. His manager discussed it because he didn't want to give Fang the bonus and commission, indirectly implying how could Fang ask for it if he hadn't achieved anything. Fang then remembered the commission from 6 months ago when the original owner sold a villa, but the commission hadn't been paid yet. So he felt a little happy, thinking that if he received the payment, it would help him survive a bit in the new world. Fang responded to his manager by message, stating that he had resigned from the job and would come back later to settle the commission payment for the White Willow Academy. After that, he pedaled forward on his cycle and suddenly arrived at the White Villa place, where the scene wasn't as good as expected. It looked like a hellish place. So Fang wondered where he had suddenly ended up, whether it was the sales office or not. Then he slowly walked inside, but he received a call, and when he picked up, someone was shouting at him, asking why he took so long to pick up the phone and if something had happened to him. It was actually his friend, so Fang responded that he was fine and asked if they were at the office. To which his friend responded with a yes, mentioning that their boss, Wu Dahai, had called Fang dozens of times. Since Fang didn't answer, Dahai got really upset with him, and as a result, Fang's friend had to work overtime to cover Fang's tasks. Fang responded that he would be there soon and they would talk later. After that, Fang wondered about the place as the entire White Willow Academy had clearly turned into a mental hospital, but it seemed his friends were affected by it. He also wondered whether this hospital would become eerie again, which intrigued him. While he was lost in thought, he suddenly bumped into something. Fang was hurt by the impact, but he could feel that it was soft. Curious, he reached out to touch it, wondering if it was possible he had stumbled upon the entrance to the hospital. As he put his hand on it, he realized it was actually the chest of a girl. Terrified by the unexpected touch, Fang recoiled, but before he could react, he received a big, tight slap from the girl. In that moment, his surroundings returned to normal, and he saw the girl whose chest he had accidentally pressed. The girl was shouting at him, calling him a rascal and warning him that she would go and file a complaint against him. A guard, seeing the girl shouting, approached and asked what had happened to her and if the boy was Xiao Fang, questioning what he had done. Seeing them, Fang was a bit shocked. When he looked up to check the place, he saw the board of the White Willow Academy. He couldn't believe it, so he closed his eyes and rubbed them, trying to make sense of what he was seeing. To his surprise, when he opened his eyes again, the scene had returned to normal, and the entire White Willow Academy had disappeared. Confused, he wondered what was going on. Tensely, Fang cautiously reached out to touch where the academy had been, wondering if it was possible that he could see the mental hospital but couldn't touch its physical form. He hesitated for a moment, wary that it seemed similar to those eerie things that could only act when they received a response. Only when certain conditions were met could they be interacted with. The moment he touched the wall, his hand passed through it. Unable to control his body's balance, he found himself passing completely through the wall and into the building. Inside, he was shocked by the scene before him. He was indeed shocked, as the entire area, including the main hall, cafeteria, and activity room, was completely empty with no one around. However, in the ward area, there was a strong smell of blood, adding to his unease. As he entered the ward area, he saw a girl lying on the bed. She started laughing, addressing him as Big Brother, but her face looked completely unfamiliar. To her surprise, Fang passed through the wall without even acknowledging her presence or reacting to her laughter. As he ventured further, Fang encountered a monster with 4 eyes, yet he remained unfazed, continuing to move fearlessly. Seeing Fang's lack of reaction, the 4-eyed monster became confused. Slowly, he discovered dozens of different types of ghosts and monsters everywhere, but he still didn't react to their activities. At that moment, he felt a little relieved, realizing that at least there were dozens of strange things locked up in the mental hospital and the ward doors were wide open. However, there was also the possibility of the strangest things escaping, so he had to remain calm in the face of those disgusting ghosts. He smiled in that eerie place, attributing his ability to remain calm even in such situations to his wife. He credited her 18th consecutive wiping of him for instilling that calmness within him. Afterward, he realized that with some case studies and data, he might gather useful information. To his surprise, he stumbled upon a note containing information about an experiment in which someone was transformed into something strange. Seeing the note, he wondered if it could be possible that all the apparitions were once people, and all those ghosts in the wards used to be living individuals. As he attempted to access the report, he found himself unable to, leading him to realize that all the ghosts were illusory, as he couldn't even access the report. Suddenly, he felt hairs brushing across his face. He tried to move, but then stopped himself, realizing that there was someone there. So, in reality, there was a ghost hanging from the ceiling, and she came near him. She asked if he had come and if Fang wanted to explore the mysteries of life together. At that moment, Fang reasoned that since there were clues in the office, there must be more elsewhere, and all the answers to the questions should be at the heart of the mental hospital, essentially in the director's office. So he decided to go directly to the source. The ghost hanging on the ceiling was surprised to see that he wasn't responding, so she did nothing after that. Moving further, he discovered that the office area of the mental hospital just happened to overlap with the sales building. He also noticed that there was no director's office on the first floor, so he decided to go upstairs. As he made his way towards the stairs, he saw his friend Zhao Hao and his boss Wu Dahai standing there. Dahai furiously asked Fang how dare he come to work after he had already fired him, questioning if Fang knew about it. However, Fang didn't focus on what Dahai was saying. He moved forward, pushing Dahai aside, and wondered whether there was nothing on the second floor. Seeing Fang act like that, Zhao was shocked and confused about what Fang was doing. Meanwhile, Dahai started shouting at Fang, asking how he dared to push him and whether Fang was lost. However, Fang wasn't responding to Dahai and continued directly towards the next floor, climbing the stairs. Seeing this, Dahai asked Fang what he was doing and who allowed him to go to the third floor. Dahai even tried to stop Fang, reminding him that he had already fired him and therefore he couldn't go upstairs to the third floor. As Fang didn't stop, Dahai asked Zhao to come with him and stop Fang from going further. Hearing this, Zhao first got confused, wondering what was happening, but soon responded with an "okay." Meanwhile, Fang found the director's office on the third floor. When Fang tried to open the door of the director's office, Zhao and Dahai shouted and asked him to stop. But he didn't look at them and kept going to open the door. Seeing this, Dahai started getting scared and shouted that it was all over for them. But the moment Fang opened the door, he was shocked to see inside the director's room. A boy named Wang Xiao was making love with an adorable and cute girl named Li Feifei. Seeing Fang and the others, they got embarrassed and started to put on their clothes. Wang Xiao shouted furiously at Fang, demanding to know who he was and why he entered the room and who let him in. But to everyone's surprise, Fang didn't hear them. He went straight to Li Feifei and held her hand. After that, Li Feifei tensely asked Fang what he was doing and why he was holding her hand. Seeing her discomfort, Fang reluctantly let her go as it was hurting her. Wang Xiao also furiously told Fang that it was something he shouldn't do. Wang Xiao then called Dahai to come and cut off Fang's hand, but in the weirdness of the situation, Fang suddenly threw Li Feifei aside, shouting that it was too noisy for him. Li Feifei asked him how dare Fang push her. But actually, Fang wasn't even looking at her. He was curious to read the letter lying on the table. After seeing the letter, he smiled weirdly with a tense face, as he realized that there was really a big secret hidden within the mental hospital. So, in the letter, it was written about the questions Fang had until now, and that the writer already knew he was there to get answers to his questions. The letter revealed that everything he needed to know was left at the Green Mountain Mental Hospital, C Building, room number 520. So it was written for Fang to go and find the reality, as there he would also get the chance to choose. It was up to Fang to accept and cherish the gift of destiny. After reading it, Fang wondered, as per his information, Zhou Qingfing was probably the director of the Green Mountain Mental Hospital. So who was this letter written to? Fang then wondered whether Zhou already knew that he was coming. He decided to go to the designated address given in the letter. But suddenly, as if on cue, the lights of the place went off. After the power got cut, Zhao panicked, and Li Feifei even howled in fear. But Fang wasn't so tense about the light. Li Feifei shared with Wang Xiao that she was scared. So Wang Xiao asked Dahai to call and inquire where the circuit breaker tripped. Dahai, fearing Wang Xiao's response, quickly agreed to call right away to get information about the lights. On the other hand, Fang was pondering that at a time like this and in a place like that, it wasn't a simple power outage. So he told everyone with a firm, "No, that's not it." Hearing this, Zhao tensely asked what was going on and shared with Fang that he was acting strange. When Fang lit up his torch, he was surprised and wondered what was going on. He was shocked because the Green City Mental Hospital was gone or had disappeared. Li Feifei then asked Wang Xiao where he was because she couldn't see anything in the darkness, and she was scared. So Wang Xiao asked Dahai to give him his phone, to which Dahai responded that there was no signal, so they couldn't use it. Wang Xiao then told Fang that with his position and status, he could access more secrets of the world than Fang could ever imagine. Wang Xiao then interpreted the situation. No phone signal, suppressed light. If he wasn't mistaken, all signs were pointing to one thing. They may very well have entered. Before Wang Xiao could say or explain further, Fang, with an evil smile, shared that it was the realm of the strange. In the next scene, it shows that the other workers of White Willow Academy were now tense, especially one of them named Raka, who was feeling a lot of pressure because he had just finished filling out the report. But he didn't have a chance to save it. Raka also wondered why it had to happen to him just now, and it seemed like he always had to deal with overwork somehow, and this time it would be for refilling. Dahai also arrived there and shouted at them to stop complaining. He asked them to go and check if there was a circuit breaker issue. So Raka ran towards the entrance to ask the guard. When he reached the entrance, the guard asked if the power in the building suddenly went out and whether everyone was safe or not. Raka responded with a yes, saying that everyone was fine, but they were irritated at the thought of having to do overtime later. The guard then shared that he was going to check if there was a circuit breaker issue. But for some reason, Raka told the guard that it was Zhao's trouble. The scene returns inside the academy where the other workers were also very tense. There, a girl named Xiaoli was waving her hand over her phone, trying to check something. She confusedly asked everyone what was going on and why the flashlight on her phone was so dim. So Fang asked her if there was any dust on her phone, suggesting she wipe it. Xiaoli responded that she had already wiped her phone, but it still wasn't working properly. Fang then noticed that his phone's flashlight was also dim, so he asked Wang Xiao the reason for it. Raka also tensely mentioned that his phone's light was dim too. Xiaoli then asked Raka what he had said about the realm of the strange. Hearing this, Raka shockingly asked if they were talking about ghosts. Xiaoli, hearing this, tensely asked how there could really be ghosts in the world and stated that it was just deception, nothing more than some natural phenomena. Another girl got scared and wondered if she was going to die. Hearing all the fuss, Wang Xiao got frustrated and furiously shouted at them to stop their nonsense and be quiet. He then shouted and asked everyone to calm down, emphasizing that what he was going to tell them was crucial and it was about whether they could survive or not. Hearing this, everyone got stunned and looked at Wang Xiao with questioning faces. Wang Xiao then started sharing that there were ghosts in the world they live in, and the so-called realm of the strange was a domain of ghosts. They could think of it as an alternate dimension, the world of ghosts, the ghost territory. Everyone was now shocked to hear what Wang Xiao said. Raka then asked where the security guard Lao was, as he had gone to check the circuit breaker and hadn't come back yet, and it had been 3 minutes already. To which Wang Xiao tensely responded that in the realm of the strange, ordinary people must be extremely careful and avoid violating the ghost's rule of killing, or else there would be no difference between that and seeking death. Dahai was trembling upon hearing it, so he asked Wang Xiao what they should do for the time being. Wang Xiao responded that they needed to hurry and find a way to escape the realm of the strange, or else everyone would be wiped out by the ghosts. Suddenly, the surrounding environment for everyone changed, and seeing this, they were startled, wondering what had happened out of nowhere to their surroundings. Even Fang didn't show it, but he was very tense because he recognized the surroundings. It was a familiar feeling for him, and he knew it couldn't be wrong. It was the presence of a ghost. Fang then told everyone that a ghost had appeared again. Hearing this, they started getting scared and asked Fang what he had been talking about at a time like this, as there were no signs of a ghost at all. But they were all not looking around them, and without their noticing, Xiaoli got attacked by the ghost. She couldn't even shout because her mouth was covered with branches of the ghost's hands. The whole incident was noticed by Fang. A girl asked him again where the ghost was, as it seemed like Fang was just trying to scare them. Without responding, Fang simply said that Xiaoli was gone. Hearing this, the girl standing beside her got fully shocked and said that he was talking nonsense, as Xiaoli was standing beside her. But the moment she looked beside herself, she found no one. Seeing this, she got terrified and started searching for Xiaoli everywhere, shouting her name. The boys there were shocked as they wondered whether the ghost had really appeared at their place. Wang Xiao then asked Fang if he saw the ghost and what the ghost looked like. Fang responded that his view was blocked and he was only able to see that Xiaoli had disappeared. But seeing Fang so calm, everyone was confused, and one man even asked how Fang could remain so calm when his colleagues were caught up by the ghost. So Raka asked if Fang wasn't normal, suggesting whether Fang got possessed by the ghost. Wang Xiao also tensely asked Fang that he didn't seem to be afraid of the ghost at all, wondering if he was a spirit master. Fang confusingly asked what a spirit master was. Hearing this, Wang Xiao wondered how Fang could remain calm in the face of a ghost, pondering what Fang's identity might be. However, the main point was that Fang didn't know what a spirit master was. Wang Xiao then responded to Fang that a spirit master was someone who could control their spiritual essence, adding that his cousin was a spirit master. He also mentioned that currently the best way to break the situation was for someone to become a spirit master, a person who could be psychic. Hearing this, Fang got a great smile on his face and asked Wang Xiao whether the spirit master was trained within the realm of the strange and how he could do that. Seeing this, Wang Xiao got stunned, realizing that even in a situation like that, Fang could still make such sharp judgments. Perhaps Fang could be the key to their escape from the realm of the strange. So Wang Xiao shared with Fang that his cousin had told him that to become a spirit master, someone had to harness the power of the ghost, and it required meeting two conditions simultaneously. One condition was undergoing a baptism of great terror between life and death, which stimulates emotional turmoil, and the other was coming into contact with the ghost to let their powers invade his soul. Suddenly, the moment Fang thought of becoming a spirit master, some black rays came towards his body, and his heart started beating faster. A pearl ball appeared in front of him, and it slowly started turning red in color. So Wang Xiao continued her sharing and asked Fang to be cautious, explaining that the ghost's power is like a blood-stained cloth. While it wipes away the dust on the night pearl, it inevitably stains the heart and extinguishes the soul. As Wang Xiao said, it happened similarly as the pearl ball got turned fully red, and the moment Fang made eye contact with the ball, his body also turned red and a little gloomy. Despite his body's transformation, he was still trying to conclude all the things to interpret properly what just happened to him. After the process, he was feeling an immense amount of power within himself. There, he wondered if because of the multiple deaths he had experienced, he had never truly come into contact with the ghosts before. And his wife, the figures he saw all over the streets, and the ghosts in the mental hospital. As long as he didn't respond to them, they were just illusions from another dimension, and that didn't count as contact. But now the ghosts hidden in the shadows had crossed over into reality, and they could harm even without needing to be seen. So he wondered if he had more contact with these ghosts, whether he would gain the ability to eliminate them. So then he decided that he wanted to become a spirit master. Suddenly, he saw his wife in front of himself, so he got a bit shocked, but soon his focus changed because someone in the room shouted very loudly. When Fang looked towards the sound, he found that a girl was shouting that one more colleague was gone. Surprised, Fang asked who was gone now. The girl responded that Jia Liang had gone missing. He was just standing with her, but now he wasn't looking anywhere. Hearing all that, Wang Xiao furiously shouted at her to stop talking, asking if she wanted to attract the ghost towards them. Li Feifei then came near Wang Xiao, crying, and asked what she should do, as she didn't want to die or disappear. Wang Xiao furiously asked in response why the hell she was asking him. Suddenly Fang spoke up, saying that it's only 2 or 3 minutes. Hearing this, everyone got tensed and looked confusingly towards Fang. Fang then shared that the interval between people disappearing is 2 to 3 minutes. More precisely, it's 2 minutes for women and 3 minutes for men. He even explained his reasons for that interpretation. Firstly, security guard Lao disappeared 3 minutes ago, and then Zhao Li disappeared. 2 minutes after Zhao Li disappeared, Jia Liang disappeared. Fang then explained that if they deduce from it, then within 3 minutes someone else will going to disappear after Jia Liang. Hearing this, they all got scared and looked tensely towards Fang. Suddenly Fang started heading towards the outside. Seeing this, a boy named Zhao asked Fang what he was doing, if he was trying to get himself wiped by ghosts. Fang responded with a yes, explaining that he was looking for a way out. Fang also asked the boy if he expected them to stand there in the room and wait for their doom. After the reply, Fang started moving further, but to his surprise, Wang Xiao frustratedly shouted at him to stop wherever he was standing. Wang Xiao then asked if Fang had already heard him tell everyone that no one was going to move on their own will, wondering if Fang was deaf. Fang then pointed out that there were only 8 of them left in the room, and following the pattern of one person disappearing after every 2 to 3 minutes, they would all be wiped out in about 20 minutes. So he might as well take the chance. Wang Xiao furiously and tensely shouted at Fang, stating that he was an ordinary person, so what did Fang know about it? Suddenly, his facial expressions turned tense as he got scared from something. Actually, it was Fang who stared back at him with a killing look and asked him to stay silent, warning that if Wang Xiao said one more word, he would get wiped before the ghost did anything to him. In the next scene, it was revealed that Zhao had also brought Fang along for his search. As they ventured deeper, they arrived at a place other than the staircase, where the atmosphere seemed unsettling. Zhao became frightened upon seeing this and asked Fang why he had a bad feeling about the situation and why they still hadn't reached the staircase. Fang put a finger to his lips and gestured for Zhao to keep quiet, cautioning him not to make too much noise. He interpreted the situation, noting a strange light ahead. As they approached, Fang's memory sparked, recalling that the light bore a striking resemblance to the Qingshan Mental Hospital. Wondering whether it could truly be the Qingshan Mental Hospital, Fang was startled. Suddenly, Zhao approached trembling, embracing Fang and questioning whether he was hallucinating. He asked where they were and why they weren't at the company as they were supposed to be. Zhao also inquired why the place felt like a hospital from a horror movie to him. Surprised, Fang asked if Zhao could also see the hospital. Zhao confirmed with a yes, mentioning that he could see the long corridor of the hospital too. Hearing this, Fang became a little tense. He approached the wall where bloodstains were visible. Carefully inspecting them, Fang interpreted that it appeared the current mental hospital had spatially overlapped with reality, similar to those bizarre living entities they had encountered before. There was no wonder why they couldn't see the mental hospital in the sales department before. It turned out that the mental hospital had swallowed the sales department, and they were already inside it. Fang wondered if this was what they called a haunted domain. Suddenly, they noticed numerous bloodstains on the floor and some torn dresses, which shocked them. Fang pointed out that these were security uniforms and women's work uniforms, belonging to Uncle Zhang and Zhao Li. Fang continued, noting that the female colleagues at the sales office had well-defined features, slender figures, and, well, less flesh compared to their male counterparts. So it took about 3 minutes for them to devour a male, while devouring a female only took 2 minutes, which explained the time difference between their disappearances. Hearing this, Zhao became scared and tensely asked if Fang was telling the truth, if they had all been devoured by the bizarre entities. Fang responded that Jia Liang had just been taken away, so they were safe for a few minutes. Surprised, Zhao asked if that meant the bizarre entities were eating Jia Liang somewhere nearby. Fang sat on the floor, pondering the situation. Most of the ghosts were locked in the patient rooms, but some doors were open, allowing the ghosts to escape. He hadn't encountered them in the illusory mental hospital before, which left him puzzled. Fang noticed the cuts on the clothes and interpreted that the edges of the clothing cuts were very neat, indicating they were obviously caused by a sharp blade. He then remembered someone and thought that it could only be the one he had encountered before. Since they were a doctor, they weren't confined to a patient room and could freely move, just like the female Dr. Ghost. As Fang thought about her, the female Dr. Ghost descended from the ceiling and hovered beside him. Fang could feel her presence, and suddenly, his eyes began to glow red. Suddenly, when Fang looked back, there was nothing there. However, the environment became even more gloomy and frightening. Gradually, they began to hear strange sounds. Zhao was now fully scared and even traumatized, but Fang was still wondering where the ghost that had come behind him had gone. While they both were still trying to interpret the situation, the rest of the guys also arrived slowly, walking towards them. They were all shocked to see their surroundings. Lang, one of the boys, asked where they were as they were supposed to be at the sales office, but it looked like a hospital. Seeing them all, Fang and Zhao were a little shocked by what was happening. Dahai then asked Fang if they had noticed anything when they arrived first, and if they had seen Guard Lao and Xiaoli. Suddenly, Li Feifei began acting strangely, pointing out the abundance of blood on the ground. Wang Xiao also noticed the clothes, recognizing them as belonging to Guard Lao and Xiaoli, and shockingly asked if they had both been eaten. Wang, in fear, grabbed Wang Xiao's hand and pleaded with him to go home quickly, not wanting to disappear. She started crying, and Wang Xiao agreed with her, urging her to let go quickly. Then, Wang Xiao asked Fang to lead the way. But Fang didn't respond and remained silently standing in place, looking at his phone. Confused, Wang Xiao asked Fang if he could hear him, wondering why Fang wasn't responding when he was talking to him. Wang Xiao shouted Fang's name again. Suddenly, out of nowhere, Fang looked up with a weird, shocked expression and told everyone that the time had come. Hearing this, Li Feifei asked Fang confusedly what he meant by, "Time has come." At that moment, both Wang Xiao and Li Feifei felt something behind them and began trembling with fear. Slowly turning around, they were shocked to see a lady ghost crawling on the ceiling, slowly approaching them. Surprisingly, the ghost attacked them, and everyone in fear started running. Wang Xiao also began running, but shockingly, he felt someone holding his leg, which scared him even more. When he looked back, he saw Li Feifei lying on the ground, asking him to save her. Wang Xiao then glanced towards the ghost and saw that she was coming hastily, so he got tense. He slapped at Wang's hand to break free from her hold and then quickly reached Fang and Zhao. Fang observed the scene, interpreting both the previous and present situations. As the lady doctor ghost approached Wang, she continued howling in fear, pleading with Wang Xiao to save her and not to leave her behind. Li Feifei looked towards everyone, her eyes pleading for help, but the ghost grabbed her hair and held a sharp knife in her other hand, ready to cut through it. Even in such a dire moment, Li Feifei continued to cry out for help from everyone around her. The knife was pressed against her neck as she cried out for help, but no one dared to intervene. Meanwhile, the lady doctor ghost wasted no time and swiftly slit her throat, causing blood to splatter all over the corridor. Witnessing the live death unfolding before them, Zhao was shocked and announced to everyone that Li Feifei had died. The female doctor ghost then began to use her knife with precision, cutting through the clothes and Wang. Seeing this, Fang was also stunned as the female doctor ghost held a surgical knife, dismembering with precise and skilled techniques. It was clear that the female ghost doctor must have performed many surgeries in the mental hospital while she was alive. Fang also wondered how he and Zhao were right there in front of the female doctor ghost, yet she wasn't paying attention to them. Instead, she handled Wang's body with serious responsibility and concentration. Typically, surgeons operate on one patient at a time, making it almost impossible to perform surgeries on two patients simultaneously. After cutting precisely to Fang's surprise, the female doctor ghost tucked her knife back into her tongue. Then she took Wang's head and placed it directly into her mouth. At that moment, seeing it all unfold, Fang shared with Zhao that the instinct to consume humans was likely a result of turning into a ghost, speculating about her killing pattern. Hearing this, Zhao was shocked and looked towards Fang with confusion. Suddenly, Zhao noticed Fang moving towards the female doctor ghost. Tensed, Zhao asked Fang what he was doing. Fang then stood close to the female doctor ghost as she ate peacefully. For the twist, Fang punched her in the face, but he was surprised to feel that her body was as hard as steel. Blood came out from his hand as he landed the punch. Afterwards, he wondered that all the ghosts they had encountered so far possessed powers that were completely overwhelming to humans, making humans seem like tiny ants in their presence. Perhaps, he thought, only by becoming spiritualists could they change the situation. Tensely, Zhao asked Fang to run from there, but Fang responded that the female doctor ghost's wiping pattern was to target only one person each time, dismembering with a surgical knife, and then consuming. In other words, when she was eating, it was the safest time. Zhao observed that the female doctor ghost was almost finished eating. Fang asked Zhao to calm down, pointing out that while Li Feifei may look slender, there was plenty of flesh where it counts, and her flesh could last at least 3 minutes or more. Therefore, there was no need to rush for them. Hearing it, Zhao felt disgusted and vomited. Fang then shared that Wang Xiao mentioned that becoming a spiritualist requires allowing the power of ghosts to infect one's soul. Throughout the haunted domain, the most concentrated ghostly power was naturally around the ghosts themselves, and physical contact would certainly lead to a quicker infection. Suddenly, a weird type of sound emanated from the ghost in Wang's body. Hearing this, Fang stopped talking and brought his hand near his ears to clearly hear the sound coming from them. Then Fang sat down and reached out to touch the female Dr. Ghost's thigh. In reality, Fang wasn't interested in the sound. He was interested in gaining information from her. With hesitation, he slowly touched her thigh. Seeing this, Zhao became confused and terrified. He admitted that he always thought he was bold, watching adult movies and all, but he never thought that Fang, with those thick eyebrows and big eyes, would dare to take advantage of a ghost. Fang responded to Zhao that he planned to stay a bit longer, and if Zhao was scared and wanted to go first, he could. After thinking for a few seconds, Zhao shouted that he would also do whatever Fang was doing, as he wanted to go all out too. Zhao then tensely approached the ghost and stared at her thighs. Slowly and hesitantly, Zhao touched her thigh, and the moment he did, he felt a very cool sensation. He told Fang that it was icier than he had expected. After a few seconds, Zhao shared with Fang that he hadn't noticed any reaction or change in his body. He asked Fang if he had experienced any changes in his own body. Fang responded with a no. Zhao was feeling very shy at the time of touching her thigh, but he didn't want to remove his hand. So, he told Fang that he would continue. Zhao then shared that he never thought that the first time he touched a woman's thigh in his life would turn out to be a ghost. He also remarked that those long legs were longer than his entire life. Hearing this, Fang interpreted that Zhao had some strong kind of adaptability. Despite being scared at first, Zhao was now joking, indicating that he might have some kind of potential. Fang then checked his mobile and shared with Zhao that it had been a minute since they started touching her thighs. He suggested that after another 30 seconds of touching, they would run immediately, leaving enough time to escape. Zhao agreed with the plan. When the time came after 30 seconds, Fang started running and shouted to Zhao to run fast. While running, Zhao asked if Fang thought they could outrun the ghost and if Fang had been in the mental hospital before. He even wondered how Fang was so familiar with everything. Fang didn't respond but started wondering. When he first entered Qingshan Mental Hospital before, he paid attention to the general layout and some routes inside the building. Now, they could use the terrain advantage to create distance from the female doctor. Suddenly, while Fang was running, some hairs came in front of his face. Seeing this, he got tense, realizing it was the hair of the female ghost doctor chasing them. At that moment, Fang wondered how it was possible. He then wondered if he misjudged the killing pattern, as there should have been at least 2 minutes of escape time. So why did she catch up so quickly? Then he remembered Wang's flesh quantity. Suddenly, when he looked back, he was shocked to see something. The problem was that Li Feifei had used silicone covers to fake a growing chest, and hence they were fake. The female doctor ghost started surrounding Fang slowly. At that moment, Fang realized that there was no silicone in the original autopsy. It was Fang's turn to be wiped out by the female doctor ghost. Much to his surprise, he found himself slowly traversing through strange surroundings. Eventually, he opened his eyes and was shocked to discover that he had been reset back to his 20th life. But the twist was that he didn't shift to his wife's scene. This time, he was resetting from the moment he touched the ghost's thighs. He was also shocked at that time, while Zhao exclaimed that he felt icy after touching her thighs. Fang then wondered if the death rollback operated on an event basis, like a game. The first level was near the residential area, and the second level was the Qingshan Mental Hospital. Since they had already passed the first level, the save point automatically moved to the second level. He glanced at his mobile and saw that there was 1 minute left, indicating that there were still 30 seconds remaining. He remembered that last time he died because of silicon but vowed not to make the same mistake again. Fang stood up and pulled Zhao's hair, urging him to let go. Zhao reacted strangely, asking why Fang was leaving just after a touch, since it was his first time touching a thigh. Fang explained that both before and after touching Li Feifei were made out of silicon, so the flesh quantity couldn't support for too long. Hearing this, Zhao was shocked and realized why it felt so big. Then they started running, and Fang asked Zhao to go downstairs. They noticed that everyone was also running just before them. Fang wondered why they were still there, and even Wang Xiao seemed tense. At that moment, Wang Xiao was running out of fear of the ghost. Suddenly, to everyone's surprise, Fang jumped from the 3rd floor stair to the 2nd floor. This scared Dahai, who begged the ghost to leave him alone. After seeing Fang, Dahai felt a bit relieved but still shouted at him, expressing how scared he was because he mistook them for ghosts. Meanwhile, seeing them nearby, Zhao also got confused and asked why they were running so slowly. In response, Wang Xiao furiously asked, "Slow?" and explained that they had already descended at least 20 floors, expressing confusion about why the building seemed so long. Lang then asked Zhao how he managed to run so fast. In response, Zhao insisted that it couldn't be 20 floors because he and Fang had only descended 3 floors before encountering them. Hearing this, they were all shocked, and Lang warned Zhao not to speak nonsense at a critical time. He threatened that if Zhao blurted out anything nonsensical again, he would hit him very hard. To their surprise, Wang Xiao spoke up, explaining that the ghosts were creating walls. He then placed his hands on Lang's shoulder and shared that his cousin had told him that the ghost's power could create illusions, potentially causing them to create walls. He also mentioned that people who encountered ghosts making walls would keep spinning in place and never be able to escape. This explained why Fang and the others caught up to them so quickly, as they had been spinning in place. Hearing this, everyone became tense, while Fang wondered what the ghost-making walls meant. Observing their intense discussion and overthinking, Fang decided to take action. He approached them and suggested that whoever had a spare item should throw it on the ground as a marker. Wang Xiao agreed, urging everyone to mark their spots quickly. After everyone threw their unusual items on the ground, Fang instructed everyone to go downstairs to check. They all slowly descended, and after coming down 2 floors, Zhao suddenly asked Fang to stop. Fang asked Zhao what was wrong and why he was asking to stop. Lang looked carefully and was shocked to see the same items they had thrown on the ground as markers lying in front of them. They started shouting, realizing that it was Fang's lighter and the girl's money among the items. Lang exclaimed that he thought it was over, realizing they were truly stuck in the ghost's illusionary walls. He asked what they should do about it, knowing that if the ghost caught up to them, they would be doomed within seconds. Fang took out one of the items they had used as a marker and began to ponder. Meanwhile, Wang Xiao shouted at everyone, urging them to stop arguing, as his cousin had said that ordinary people couldn't escape the ghost's illusionary walls. To break the situation, they realized they had to rely on spirituality to see through the illusion. Wang Xiao then asked if anyone had something spiritually enlightening. Everyone looked at Wang Xiao with a questioning expression on their faces. To everyone's surprise, Wang Xiao shook hands with himself and pondered aloud whether being chased by a ghost earlier counted as a life-and-death experience. He hoped he could quickly ignite his spirituality, and if he could become a spiritualist, he wouldn't be pressured by his cousin and the family. So everyone else started wondering how they could check their spirituality. Lang suggested they try it the same way Wang Xiao had done. After that, everyone started doing it like Wang Xiao. Seeing everyone follow Wang Xiao's lead, Fang grew frustrated, feeling like everyone had lost their focus. Recalling his previous exploration of the mental hospital, he remembered that the exit of the stairwell was on the right. Although he couldn't determine which building they were in, he speculated that the layout should be similar. Wang Xiao noticed Fang doing something else and asked him what he was doing again. Fang, getting ready for the search, thought that instead of engaging in pointless prayers, he should concentrate on searching for clues. Seeing Fang so calm again, Wang Xiao thought that Fang wasn't right as he was too calm in a situation like that. From the beginning to the end, Fang didn't show a hint of panic, even when encountering the ghost. When the female ghost appeared, Fang, who was clearly in the front, didn't run at the first opportunity. Instead, he stood close to the wall to prevent a collision. They all fled into the stairwell, leaving only 3 of them behind. And now Li Feifei was missing, so she was definitely dead. But the 2 guys and the female ghost stayed in the corridor for at least a minute. So Wang Xiao wondered what they were doing and why the ghost didn't harm them. Wang Xiao even thought for a moment whether both Fang and Zhao were taking advantage of the female ghost. Then, without acknowledging his earlier thoughts, he spoke up in front of everyone, stating that it wasn't possible because, after all, she was a ghost. Hearing this, others were confused about what had happened to Wang Xiao suddenly. Fang then put his hand on the side wall, prompting Zhao to ask what he was doing. Zhao even asked Fang to teach him, suggesting that he could also help. Slowly, Fang started walking down, touching the wall. On the count of 15, he stopped and was surprised that he actually found the door. Zhao, seeing the metal door, was amazed by Fang and praised him. Meanwhile, Wang Xiao was shocked to see a door in a place like that, and surprisingly, he started chanting those words again and again. Seeing this, Fang went close to him and asked him to calm down, reassuring him that everyone could see it's a door. Tensely, Wang Xiao asked Fang how they could open the door. Since Fang didn't know the answer, he decided to try opening the door, thinking that it might lead them to their destination. He then announced to everyone that he was hoping the door wasn't locked. So, he turned the knob of the door, and to their happiness, it actually opened. As they entered the room, they were greeted by a strange environment with various unusual features. The moment Fang opened the door, everyone started running inside, laughing with relief that they were saved. But Fang knew it wasn't the end, so he remained silent. Despite his caution, everyone around him was running into the room, pushing him aside. Only Zhao noticed that Fang wasn't moving, so he curiously asked why Fang wasn't running and why he was so calm in the face of danger. Hearing this, Fang chuckled at the notion of being faced with danger, as they were all focused on saving themselves. Interestingly, when they were facing the female Dr. Ghost, there was no need to run too fast. While everyone hurried past them, there was still one boy left behind. He approached them and urgently asked them to run or move aside, pleading not to use him as a shield if they just wanted to die. So, actually, Fang wasn't moving from there, because he wanted to make sure he wasn't the last one. This way, it would be convenient for him to touch the female doctor's thigh and ignite his spirituality sooner. He also shared that there had been cases of ghosts escaping in the mental hospital, and not encountering them before was just his good luck. So it was interesting to bump into one head-on. On the other side, everyone was running to escape from there, but suddenly Wang Xiao shouted and asked everyone to stop wherever they were. He stopped them because they had a problem. There were 2 ways in front of them to go, so now they all didn't know which way to choose for going further. They all started wondering about it. So Lang asked his friend why they shouldn't try going left. Hearing this, his friend got furious and responded that he knew Lang was trying to use him as a guinea pig to find the way. And so the boy asked Lang to go himself, wherever he was thinking of going. While everyone was discussing and fighting with one another over the topic of the door, Fang remained standing very silently. So, Wang Xiao asked Fang which way they should go. Everyone else also agreed that since Fang found the door during the ghost wall incident, he must know the way out of this situation too. Seeing all that, Fang was pissed off and a little sad, wondering what had happened to everybody. When it was time to run away, they were pushing him, but now that they were in trouble, everyone was looking to him for the solution. Fang then smiles a bit, seeing which Lang furiously asks what Fang was laughing about and why he wasn't speaking up first. Lang also mentions that the ghost was catching up, and Fang was still putting on airs. Despite this, Lang trusted Fang because he could sense his presence. Hearing this, Fang got serious and realized that it didn't matter to him because, for him, they were all just tools. Right now the female doctor was invincible, so if he wanted to buy time, he had to sacrifice lives. By sacrificing, he meant that he was going to use all of them as fodder for the ghost. Suddenly, they all heard the sound of the female ghost approaching them, so they all started running to save themselves. Fang became happy as the female ghost was finally approaching. But it showed that Wu Dahai was at the very end of the line, trying to run away. The ghost went crazy trying to catch Dahai. He was shouting at everyone to move aside and give him space, but seeing the ghost so close to him made him panic even more. He became terrified and ran even faster, thinking that he couldn't die so soon. Just ahead of him, a boy named Chung was running, and Dahai wondered who told Chung to run faster than him. At that moment, Dahai acted on impulse. He grabbed Chung from behind and hurled him towards the female doctor ghost, believing it was fate and that he couldn't die right now. Chung was stunned after Dahai did something like that to him. Before Chung could say or do anything, he was attacked by the female doctor ghost. Dahai laughed and reassured Chung, saying he would burn incense for him on holidays. Fang observed everything closely, and after Dahai's actions, he pondered on the notion that someone who had lost their humanity wasn't much different from a ghost. He made a decision to try even harder, hoping to ignite his spirituality quickly in order to minimize casualties. So Fang went for touching the thighs again. Everyone else was running to save themselves, but only Zhao noticed that Fang wasn't with them. When he looked back, he saw Fang once again touching the thighs of the ghost. Zhao then approached them and said to Fang that touching the thighs of the ghost and not calling him, having a solo feast without sharing, wasn't fair. Zhao then touched the thighs of the female ghost and told Fang that if he ever had the chance to touch the thighs again, he should call him too. After touching, Zhao was fully experiencing the sensation and shared that the skin was incredibly smooth, feeling like ice and jade. Zhao then asked Fang if a living woman's thigh felt like that, and if Fang had ever touched one in real life. Zhao was so happy at that moment that he was blushing constantly. Seeing that, Fang also smiled, impressed that even in a situation like that, Zhao could effortlessly pop out idioms. Fang also wondered if maybe Zhao could ignite his spirituality as well. After that, they both started running again to meet with the others. While running, Fang asked Zhao if he wasn't afraid that the female ghost doctor would wipe him out. To which Zhao responded that waiting for death was much worse than being killed directly. Zhao also mentioned that he was a little reassured because Fang was there with him. Hearing this, Fang got a little surprised and didn't have a reply to that comment. Upon reaching a place, Zhao asked Fang to wait and see if it was a hotel. When Fang saw that it actually looked like a hotel, he started feeling hungry. He shared that he hadn't had dinner due to overtime, and all the running just made him even hungrier. Despite being starving, he really wanted to have some food. To their surprise, Wang Xiao interrupted Fang and told everyone that restaurants usually had back doors. He asked everyone else to look around. Wang Xiao also advised Zhao not to be in a hurry to find food, as they should first find the exit, and once they were out, Wang Xiao promised to treat Zhao to a feast of land, sea, and sky. He even offered to arrange a few girls for Zhao if he wanted. Fang then looked back at Dahai strangely and told Wang Xiao that he was afraid he wasn't lucky enough to enjoy it. Suddenly, Dahai went very close to Wang Xiao and started flattering him. Wang Xiao asked Dahai not to mind Fang, as even if there was no hole, he would dig one for him. Out of nowhere, a girl shouted that she found the door. Hearing this, Wang Xiao asked her not to move as he would open it himself. Smiling, Wang Xiao reassured everyone that they were safe now. But to their surprise, the moment Wang Xiao opened the door and they stepped inside, They were shocked to see the scene in front of them, as there was only a passage with one door, from which a light was emanating. Seeing this, Fang wondered if, in an even darker environment, the gradually suppressed light suggested that they were moving towards a more internal space of the ghosts, and it wasn't so much a gateway to life. Wang Xiao went to check the door and shared with everyone that it wasn't locked. Hearing this, Fang wondered if they were more on a dead end. When they all moved through the gate, they were surprised to see a utility room behind the door. Wang Xiao realized the situation and started making a fuss about it, realizing it was a dead end with no way out, and they had fallen into the ghost's trap. At that moment, Fang wondered if he had chosen the wrong path, realizing he should have taken the left path instead. However, it was too late for them to turn back now. Fang then thought that while it's possible to sacrifice one person to help others escape, no one knows how far they have to run or how many lives need to be sacrificed. So, he considered it might be better for him to find the female ghost and get respawned. Somehow Zhao understood what Fang was thinking and told him that if he went back now, he would definitely run into that female ghost. Despite this warning, Fang was still considering going back by opening the door, but suddenly everyone started talking about the situation. Some murmurs arose, questioning whether they would be stuck there, and some even started blaming Fang for their situation. They argued that it was all Fang's fault, that if he hadn't chosen the wrong path and if he didn't know the way, Fang should have discussed it with them beforehand. Then they all wondered what they should do now. Hearing all those words and questions from others, Fang became fascinated and smiled an evil laugh. Despite doing everything, they were blaming him, which meant they were all very interesting people. Fang said these lines in a sarcastic way. Surprisingly, before Fang could respond, Zhao spoke up and shouted at them that Brother Fang hadn't forced them and that they were the ones who wanted to follow Fang. Zhao also mentioned that it was they who had asked for directions in the first place, so now blaming Brother Fang for making the wrong choice was also on them. He also asked them why, if they had the ability, they hadn't chosen for themselves. Dahai weirdly responded to Zhao that they might not have had the ability, but at least they wouldn't act recklessly like Fang did. He added that if Fang didn't know the way, they could have discussed it. Dahai also mentioned that they trusted Fang and let him choose, but who knew that Fang would choose blindly? Zhao was still furious with them for speaking against Fang. Dahai reiterated that he believed not only had Fang betrayed their trust, but he had also led them to a dead end. While they were discussing and arguing over Fang, Wang Xiao interrupted them and asked them to stop fighting. As the most important thing for them at the time was to figure out how to survive, Wang Xiao then shared that, according to his observation, the strange creature only attacked one person each time, and then there was a safe period of 2 or 3 minutes. So, the only solution now was to choose one person to distract the creature and create an opportunity for everyone else to escape. Upon hearing this, Fang laughed because he realized they were going to choose him. And as Fang had anticipated, Wang Xiao approached him and pushed him, saying that if it weren't for him, they wouldn't be in that predicament. So it must be Fang who had to atone for his sins. Seeing this, Zhao tensely asked what Wang Xiao was doing and demanded that Wang Xiao leave Fang alone. Zhao then ran towards Wang Xiao to free Fang from his grasp. In response, Wang Xiao called out to everyone to come and help him. Hearing this, Dahai and the others looked at each other uncertainly. Zhao then grabbed Wang Xiao by the neck and kept him away from Fang. Shocked by Zhao's actions, Wang Xiao pleaded with him to let go, but Zhao refused to relent. So Wang Xiao asked Dahai why he was just standing there and why he wasn't helping him. Dahai then approached and pulled Zhao away from Wang Xiao, despite Zhao shouting at him to let go. However, Zhao was unable to free himself from Dahai's grip. While they were fighting, suddenly they heard the sound of a door closing. It turned out that Fang had been left behind and closed the door from his side. However, everyone else thought that the girl had done it, so she started crying, insisting that it had nothing to do with her as she hadn't done anything, and furthermore, she couldn't see clearly in that darkness. Seeing Fang willingly locking himself behind that door, knowing he would be taken by the female Dr. Ghost, shocked Wang Xiao. Wang Xiao then, in confusion, asked Fang whether he was human or the strange creature. Fang responded that he had always thought he wouldn't be interested in people again, but it turned out that people were much more interesting than the strange creatures. Fang then laughed and thanked them for adding some interest to the world for him. His last words were that next time he would make sure to repay them properly, after which he was attacked by the female Dr. Ghost. Seeing this, they all became frightened, and even Zhao tried to open the door to save Fang. However, Wang Xiao and the others prevented Zhao from doing so by holding the door shut from their side. Once they were sure that Fang had been attacked, they ran away. Despite the others running away, Zhao continued to cry for Fang, insisting that he was coming to save him. Meanwhile, as Wang Xiao ran, he laughed a devilish laugh, but when he looked back, he was shocked to see that Fang was still smiling, even after being attacked by the ghost and being on the verge of death. Even while dying, Fang asked Wang Xiao to wait for him. The scene then reset back to the moment when they were touching thighs, so the same sequence of events happened again. Fang stood up and they both ran towards the downstairs near the others. However, this time Fang had a strange devilish smile on his face. While the others were moving downstairs, suddenly they heard the sound of someone coming towards them from upstairs. Seeing this, Wang Xiao started running, but to his relief, Fang jumped in front of him. Fang didn't stop and continued running towards the door, while Zhao again asked them why they were running so slowly. Slowly, all the discussions happened again. But this time, Fang was directly counting the steps to find the door without getting involved in the discussion. The moment Fang opened the door, everyone asked Wang Xiao why he had said they hit the wall. Wang Xiao was stunned to see that Fang found the door and asked suspiciously how he had found the exit so early. Zhao happily asked Wang Xiao why he was standing and waiting, urging him to just run. Still confused, Wang Xiao ran inside. After crossing the door, Wang Xiao curiously asked Fang if he had been spiritually enlightened. However, Fang didn't respond. Upon reaching the two-way place, Wang Xiao again mentioned how Fang had immediately found the door, suggesting that Fang must know which way they had to choose. Wang Xiao then asked Fang to lead them to escape, promising that everyone would surely pay him whatever he wanted. Fang responded by stating that there was 1 minute left, and after 1 minute, the ghost would appear. Hearing this, Wang Xiao got happy and remarked that since Fang actually knew the timing of when the ghost would appear, it seemed that Fang had truly become the spirit master. Wang Xiao then told Fang that as long as Fang would take him out of the ghost domain, he would pay him $5 million. Suddenly, Fang looked back at him weirdly. Seeing Fang's expression, Wang Xiao got tense. Fang then said there was no need to hurry as before leaving, he had one more thing to do. Hearing this, Wang Xiao confusingly asked what Fang wanted to do at a time like that. Suddenly, to everyone's shock, Fang hit Wang Xiao in his private parts, causing Wang Xiao to howl in pain and fall to the ground. Wang Xiao was constantly crying because Fang had destroyed his private parts. Fang then happily responded to Wang Xiao to take his 5 million back, and with that, he should treat his eggs. The aftermath of Fang's actions and whether everyone would be able to trust him again is uncertain. Fang may or may not be able to explain his reasons for breaking Wang Xiao's eggs, and whether he chooses to help the others or not depends on his level of trust in them. Zhao's kindness towards Fang may indeed play a crucial role in Fang's survival,